that the options have changed. If you are a member or business customer of Equifax, please press 1. If you are, this call may be monitored for quality purposes. All of our agents are currently busy. Please stay on the line. Thank you. Oh, now she's gone, and I'm not with her.
Equifax, Paul speaking. Can I help you?
Hey, Paul, I wonder if you could, it's Mark calling from notapennydown.com here in Vancouver.
Yes.
Did I speak to you earlier?
I don't know, Mark. I don't remember Not a Penny Down. I don't think, unless you didn't mention your company.
It's the Verico Mortgage Network.
I'm not sure, but anyway, tell me how I can help you now.
Okay, so quick question. I had a client come into my office about 3 months ago to apply for a mortgage.
Yeah.
And at the time, the particular product that they wanted to apply for had a minimum beacon score from the lenders.
Okay.
So what I suggested to them, instead of me pulling their credit bureau and maybe affecting their score and in the end not being able to help them, I suggested that they pull it here in my office. You know, I gave them a computer and sat them down and said, you can pull it as many times as you like. Personally, it doesn't affect your score. Right. So he did that, and he pulled it, and it was low. And I said to him at the time, you know, I can give you some suggestions about how you can build up your score. And they went away, and he did that. And yesterday he came to my office and said he had great news. It was up. So he pulled it in front of me, and I believe it was, I'm just looking, I have it in front of me. I think it was like 689. And the minimum beacon score for that particular program was 680. So I said, great, we can proceed. And then I went to pull his score, and it was 635.
Oh, okay. Now, the score that they will get from the consumer department is not comparable to the mortgage beacon score. It's not actually a beacon score. It's a score power or an Equifax score. So it's unfortunately, it's not something that a client can verify for you. It's on a different scale, and it usually is higher than what the beacon score is going to be. You want me to check the file just to see if I can see anything particular?
Sure, I'll give it to you right now.
Yeah.
Okay, so the name, what do you want first?
Start with the last name. Okay, I see your inquiry on there, so let me just check to see what the beacon score should be.
I mean, I kind of have egg on my face a little bit because I didn't know this, and I've been coaching her, or well, I'd say her as his wife. I've been coaching them all along, and yeah, I haven't phoned them back yet. I'm just like a little bit baffled.
Yeah, I can see that the score you got. You said it was around
635, I think it is.
What is it?
635.
Yeah.
And she gave me a copy. She pulled in my office here. I think I'll pull it up. I think it's 689. Is it? You probably have it the last time they pulled. 683.
Yeah, I can see the beacon score, but I don't have that Equifax consumer score that they're getting from the consumer department. But I know that it is a separate scoring product, and it's never been identical because the formula that they were using for the consumer reports was different than the mortgage industry, but usually it was closer. Lately, they've switched to a different score, and I'm noticing big differences in the score.
I mean, my first thought is it's not just the mortgage industry, because I've seen this in, you know, credit unions, leasing companies, the banks in general.
Well, I mean, there's always been, there were 3 different versions of Beacon Score all along. Plus there was an American version. Most Beacon mortgage agents are on Beacon 4, which is the main one that's out there, and most banks are on that as well. But unfortunately, the consumer department is not providing that score to consumers.
I mean, I guess my first question would be, you know, because I've pulled my score personally before as well, because I know how much it impacts what you do in terms of the lending industry.
Right.
When I went on there, and I'm knowledgeable, I'm in the industry, I couldn't detect anything that says, listen, the $25 that you're just about to spend to get your score with, I would think, the same purpose that I had, which is to see what the score is so that I know what other lenders are seeing so that I can make sure I'm in the ballpark.
I see perfectly what you're saying. The reality is, though, that there are a lot of scoring products out there. There's an Equifax score. There is, different banks use Consumer Risk Predictor as opposed to Beacon. Like I said, there's different versions of Beacon.
Well, I know that we're hooked up through Philogix, which is hooked up through Equifax, and we deal with all the banks and all the lending institutions, credit unions, everybody.
Yeah.
And they accept my score. When I call it my score, it's the Equifax score for that individual party that I pull.
Yeah, well, I can tell you that, from my experience, I've run across discrepancies before. This is not the first discrepancy in scoring that I've seen.
Well, I say this is a huge discrepancy. From a 683 to a 635.
They've changed the product in the consumer department recently in the last few months, and it is not comparable to the Beacon score.
Well, what's your thought about, the way that the score is presented on your homepage? Because I've been telling everybody, listen, if you have questions or concerns about your credit, I don't want to pull it because it'll affect you. Go and pull it, see what your score is. And this is the first time I've found out that it has nothing to do with what I see or what other banks see.
Well, I guess the idea is that the Beacon score is for the creditor, and the client can always check their credit information to make sure that balances are what they think they are, and score ratings on the individual trade lines are what they should be.
And you know what? And I fully understand that, and that is typically free. But when you're paying $25 extra to get a score that even I believed was the score that is being used to determine my credibility when I go out there to the marketplace, when in fact it doesn't have anything to do with it.
Yeah, well, I think the idea at Equifax is that more members are switching over to this Equifax score as opposed to the Beacon score, which is provided by a separate company. But that's
so Equifax that I get, and I pay you guys to pull a score every time. Are you telling me that I have a choice of what score I get?
You don't have a choice, but you do have a choice, but the most widely used score in the industry is Beacon score, which is owned by FICO, an American company, so yes, you would have a choice, but you would choose Beacon because that's what
everybody's using.
Finance companies and mortgage companies are using Beacon.
So wouldn't it make sense from your perspective or Equifax perspective to be providing a score that everybody's using? Why be providing a score that like I don't know anybody that's using your score that you're talking about that you're giving to the consumer and charging $25 for? Wouldn't it be more consistent to say, listen, this is the score you need to be worried about because this is the score you're going to face when you go into the marketplace?
Well, that's I see what you're saying, but it's not the case. So that's
I'm just talking out loud because it's frustrating because I've given this advice to the client and now I'm getting this feedback and I'm saying, well, geez, this doesn't even make sense to me. I need to call them and find out. At first, I thought I was going to call you and you were going to say, oh yeah, big change. There's a problem here. It's not correct. But then I'm hearing, no, that score has nothing to do with what you're doing.
It is a different scoring product, so it gives a different score. Yeah.
Is there any suggestion how it could be rectified so that it actually makes sense, so that the score that they see is actually the score that
there is not a way for the consumer to acquire the same score that you're getting.
But do you agree that it's probably the one they need to worry about?
Well, whether I agree or not is really beside the point. It's just that the consumer is, when they're going through our consumer department, is getting a different score, which is not comparable to your score. So, it's as simple as that.
Simple, but not so clear. I mean, like I say, even myself, when I was pulling and paying $25 for that power score, I thought it was the score that everybody's talking about in the industry that's used to determine my qualification for any type of loan.
Yeah, no, it's not the case.
So I guess my suggestion was maybe you should be a little bit more specific on the website so that people know that when they're paying extra for that score, it's not the score that's being used out in the industry. It actually has nothing to do with it.
By some credit not being used by all creditors, and probably not the majority of creditors.
I would say probably not even close to being a minority from my experience here. But yeah, I mean, it's very frustrating. I don't know what to say. I don't know. I just wanted to get some more clarity because this customer is going to be very upset, and I was upset to find out that this is the case.
I understand your point of view, but that's just to explain the difference in the score. It's that.
It's, I guess the definition is it's that, but really it doesn't have anything to do with the lending industry. But anyway, I appreciate your time.
Okay, you're welcome.
Thank you.